Please try it again.
Hello. Oh, hey guys. Welcome. For our Congregational Forum. So I'd love to start us off with a quick prayer, and then we as a Congregational Council just have a few, here's what we've been up to, and then truly, this isn't a presentation or like something formal. It's just like, let's chat about concerns or ideas or anything that you want to share with other members of the congregation. This is just an easy way to do that, as well as if there's something you want us to consider, put on agendas, things like that. So, the Lord be with you. Lord, thank you for this wonderful group of people and this church. Help us to honor you in all that we do and continue to do your work. Amen. All right, so first thing on my list, and of course we have some staff. We don't have most of our staff today, but just some staffing updates. I'm sure you've noticed. We do have a new AV staff member. Right now, our nursery, we've got an interim nursery worker and an interim choir director, but I think all of those are in process of being filled by different committees. And then, do you want to talk just kind of like finance updates? Everybody? Oh. Okay. Absolutely. I want to caution us from thinking this is some kind of council presentation, though. This is a group community discussion, but I'm Nikki Cook. I am the council president. Yeah. And then here's your council members. I can do, but I just didn't want it to be like the sole presentation.
You don't have anything on there, right? Not for me.
We replaced these.
Yeah. So we replaced one of the ACs this summer, and so that is all. It's been replaced. It's working awesome, and that came out of our PMF fund. We are for total giving for the year, we're down about 9%, but we are still seeing good. We're still seeing good growth. Like August was a great month. We still didn't quite meet it, but we're definitely up from where we were last year. And so, I think that we'll see kind of what happens the rest of this year. But we're down just a tiny bit. And then on the designated funds.
We're working through the audit process, which hopefully you guys got that packet. If not, I know it's in the Joyful Noise for last week, if not the week before as well. We are looking at how we're doing designated funds. We've got some different funds that are great, like our permanent maintenance and things like that. We've also got some designated funds that have money sitting there and no longer have a mission or like a leader that we know of. So that is a place where we're just needing as a congregation to figure out how we're doing that going forward. So just so you know, that's on minds of people on the audit and finance and council and all of that.
All right. Anybody have any questions?
You do have a microphone if you have questions, so please.
If we get a permanent minister or pastor later this year, do we have the budget to pay him or her?
So those of us that were at the audit committee meeting, and please pop in, we are okay now because of the situation we have. We heard through the New Directions process that we want a full-time pastor and we want these things. It would be very tricky to offer a package right now to meet those goals. So I'm going to just pull out a paper.
What is the going rate?
It really depends. It really depends on how many years of experience they have, right?
There we go.
So I'll let Kyle take over that.
Yeah, so we have a spreadsheet that lays out years of experience based on what the local school district provides, right? So for 1 year, the first out of ministry pastor would be around, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but their base would be around 87,000 a year, but then there's the additional benefits, the additional car allowance, all that, and that's around 140,000 full package.
For a first year pastor.
First year out of seminary, right? That's including benefits and all that. A pastor at 12 years is, and Mark and I were looking at these numbers yesterday, but the base benefits, the base salary plus housing was around 109,000. Was that right, Mark? 109,000 for somebody at 12 years. But then when you add in their benefits, their car allowance, all that additional allowances, it comes out to about 160,000. If we move up to 25 years, where Pastor Ernie was, that's where we get up into 118,000, 120,000 for base plus housing, and then it goes up to 180 to about 200,000 for benefits, allowances, and all that kind of stuff. So, Mark, you want to add something?
So the Synod provides very specific guidelines of how to determine these amounts. These amounts that Kyle's talking about are not amounts that somebody from Rejoice sat in a room and said, why don't we do this? But it's indexed using local school salary ranges in the local school district to specific job positions, and then indexed by years of experience. So these are the numbers the Synod gives us.
Can I address the question about can we afford it? Yeah. One of the things that we recently did is we had an audit committee which consisted of myself, Marcia Cooper, and Tony Dickensheets, and we, it was a financial audit to see how Rejoice is doing. And probably one of the most important things that we discovered in this is that Megan is absolutely correct. Right now, we're in pretty good shape financially in terms of not encountering a deficit. We're meeting our expenses, not a problem. But if you look back historically, over a 3-year period of 2021, 2022, and 2023, our giving was averaging, and this is tithes and offerings, our giving was averaging about $50,000 a month, which means we were taking in around $600,000 a year in giving, which was a very, very good level because we were, again, covering all expenses very well. But what's happened since the end of 2023, so over the last year and a half or so up through mid-year 2025, our giving has declined from $50,000 a month to a little under $45,000 a month. So instead of annually being at $600,000, we're now at a rate closer to about $540,000. And again, it's still pretty much a break-even situation in terms of income and expenses, but going to be difficult to put together a compensation package for a new pastor because it'll be significantly higher than what we're currently paying for an interim pastor. In fact, it could be twice that amount. So again, we need to, when we get to the point where we've identified a candidate, we're going to have to figure out how we can afford to bring that person in. Now, is there a way to look at our current expenses and save $5,000 a month? Very, very difficult because so many of our expenses are fixed in terms of mortgage and insurance and utilities and janitor services and all that. Or do we give up and just say, hey, we can't afford it, so let's just move along without a pastor? I don't think any of us want to do that. You know, what we learned in the future directions process was we need a full-time pastor. So what's the third option? Can we go to our members and ask them to consider if they can afford an increase in giving? Again, if we can get from the $45,000 a month level that we're at now back up to where we used to be at $50,000, problem solved. So that's sort of where we are now. Right now, we're doing fine, but our expenses are artificially low because we don't have a full-time pastor. But
Then doesn't that money that you want to be up, does that not have to go into a ASU fund then, so it's there, or?
Well, the way it works now is that we pay all of our expenses, including salaries, out of the operating fund. And the money for the operating fund comes from tithes and offerings, general giving. So certainly that money, the extra money would go toward that, but it's not a specific fund.
Everybody else gets a raise every once in a while, too.
Every once in a while. But again, the big difference from where we used to be to where we are now is that expense for a full-time pastor. Expenses are down, but so is income. Yes? The question was, what's the reason for our decrease in giving? Is it tied to membership numbers? Again, if you go back to around the end of 2023, we had several members leave the church, either move out of town or leave, who in the past had been very generous in their contribution. So there were 4 members or 4 member families that left that accounted for roughly $5,000 a month in giving. So you can really look at that specific thing and say that's the reason why giving is down. So does that answer your question? Okay.
And I think the tricky thing about that is that does help us explain what happened, but it doesn't necessarily help us fix it. Like, we can't be like, cool, let's all go out and recruit 4 new families that are going to make that up, right? Like, please do, okay? But we also have to look at, we talked about in the audit committee, no one really loves like a stewardship campaign and like, hey guys, we need money. But we also do need to be having prayerful conversations around like, hey, what is the answer for Rejoice where we are right now? Like, and it's probably like Swiss cheese. It's probably lots of things, right? Like if we layer this and layer that and layer that. But so just knowing that like we do have an idea of what the problem or like how we got here, but it's gonna take like figuring out, and we'll probably get it wrong like once or twice, right? Like, because we're human. So we got to figure out how to, fix it. It's not like an easy fix either.
Any questions? Are there any questions online? Okay. No? Okay. Go use that microphone.
I know that we had a considerable expense for the HVAC system, right? Are we confident now that all of the repairs are complete and that there's not anything else coming due?
As confident as it's your home.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I mean, the thing is that it's not like we don't have another 30-year-old AC system.
We're in pretty good shape right now, I think.
Yeah.
No? We're good. Yep.
Okay. So then when it comes to like rebudgeting, right, then the question would become if there are ways that we can both balance increases in giving and cutting expenses by looking at infrastructure and whether or not that infrastructure needs the same level of support financially in the near term, right? That those are different ways to go about thinking about how we can make this work and be prepared for the potential that a new pastor could come in as soon as, who knows, right?
I think the message
End of the year.
The message was that I feel like we've gotten from Call is that we don't know when, but when it is, it very likely will be fast, right? So like right
Exactly.
now could be a year. Next week they could be coming to us as a congregation and saying, hey, we're looking at 4 weeks, right? So like when it happens, it'll be really fast, but right now there's no telling.
So we just need to be prepared, I think, as a congregation to figure out what are we going to do in that situation. And I also
and
think
that's
to
my point.
answer your question too, though, some like the infrastructure, like we have a very generous permanent maintenance fund. So that's completely separate from that general operating fund. And so I think that if something else were to come up, say in the next year, because Lord knows it can happen. Right. I think we have that separate fund set aside, and we do have enough in there. We have enough currently in our savings where it's liquid, where if we needed to pull something quickly for another AC, for example, we also have the PMF CD as well.
Thank you.
All right, I'll address the elephant in the room with, what's our call committee up to? We sit in this room over here, this office, or this meeting room, we just draw pictures. Not really doing a whole lot, no. No, actually we have some really exciting news. It was probably about the first part of August, we started discussions with a pastor. The first discussion was online through Zoom. Went very well. We moved to a second discussion, was in person. That went very well. We are working on a third discussion. Hopefully soon we can get that figured out with scheduling that. Hard part is scheduling between 7 people, trying to align on the same day, get it all ready to go, but that's where we're at. So there's processes after this next discussion that we have to go through, right? Kind of see where we're at, how we're feeling as a committee, how we're feeling as a congregation, how the pastor's feeling. So that's where we're at, super exciting. So continued prayers for the process, continued prayers for the call committee, for the pastor. Just hopefully it all aligns.
What is the process? Can you just kind of map out the steps?
Yeah, the question was, what's the process? So we, of course, went through our process to submit our MSP, right, our ministry site profile. So that was online back in late December, early January it came online. Pastors go through the same process. They fill out many more questions that we fill out. They submit it, it goes online. Then what happens is Pastor Kelsey, she's our synod contact for this process. She reviews pastors that are open to a call, their profile, and then she aligns it to our profile, right? I think there's some systematic automation stuff that helps her out. I don't really know that process, but she makes sure that they're in line with us, with what we're asking for, and the pastor is asking for, right? And then she submits that to us to review. We review that packet up for the pastor. I think we reviewed 4, right? Am I right? 4 we reviewed? We reviewed 4 packets already. We interviewed 3 of them. 1 we felt didn't align with us, so we just said we don't want to move forward with the interview. So then after we review it, we set up an interview. We set up a Zoom interview first for all of our candidates, all of our profiles that we're reviewing. Then we move into, depending on where they're located or kind of what we're feeling, we move into another Zoom interview or we move into an in-person interview. This last pastor we moved into an in-person interview, right, because we felt really good about it. The next kind of steps are kind of gray on where we want to go. If we have more questions as a call committee, then we'll reach out and say we want to have another discussion. We want to kind of work through these questions, right? Kind of like an interview process. And so that's where we're at now, right? For a second in-person interview process, right? I guess, or a third discussion. That's where we're at, but it's in person, right? After that, depending on how this next discussion, I don't like the word interview with a pastor, it's kind of weird, right? So this next discussion that we have, depending on how it goes, how we feel as a call committee, how the pastor feels, then hopefully we either move into a discussion with the council with that candidate that we were recommending, or we have another in-person discussion, right? Or we can say, well, we're not really starting to align, we're starting to separate, and we want to move into other pastors, right, reviewing them. So it kind of goes into 3 buckets, right, kind of how we're feeling. After that process, hopefully, we can get them in discussion with the council. After that happens, the council gives us their recommendation. We take that into consideration. We can then, as a call committee, have another discussion with the pastor and say, hey, we want to kind of talk more details, more what we're thinking as a congregation, as a call committee. Then after that, we would set up a time and a proposal for them to come in and do services for us. Set up them to let you all know that they're going to come in. That's kind of their in-person, on-the-job interview, right? That they are the one that we are choosing as a call committee to come in and preach and potentially be our pastor. So we set that up. We'll set that up. Probably we'll give the notice 2 weeks that they're coming. But then after that, after they're here, what we would like to do as a call committee is after they preach, after they do 2 sermons, we would like to have a fellowship afterwards, right? Kind of meet and greet kind of day, right? And then also it's done for that Sunday. The next week, we'd want to come back and vote if we want that person that we choose to be our pastor or not. As a congregation, yes. So it'd be a special congregational meeting, right? After that, it depends if they accept or deny, right? Do we have to start the whole process over? Does the congregation accept or deny, right? Then after that process, then it's a whole trying to figure out how do we get the new person in, how do we get them started, you know, all that whole process, right? How do we set up the call letter? How do we make sure that aligns with our budget? How do we make sure that it aligns to what the pastor wants, right? Kind of that whole negotiation process. So it's kind of a long, drawn-out answer, but that's the process. So we are still kind of towards the middle to beginning of the process, right? We still have lots of steps ahead of us. Hopefully it goes quick, but we'll see what happens. Any other great question? Any other questions on call committee?
So I'm Maylin. I'm on the call committee, and some things I learned along the way. It's a very unique process. It's not like out in the secular world. And one thing I learned was the candidates are one at a time. So if that doesn't work, then Pastor Kelsey will recommend another candidate. So we're not interviewing more than one candidate at a time. And the second thing I want to mention is that early on, it was decided with the 6 of us that we have a unanimous vote. We all agree we're going to move forward with that. So I think we're almost there. So my prediction would be in the early part of next year if things keep moving along. That's all I have to say.
Everyone feeling good on call updates because we can spend more time here. I had a few other things I just wanted to throw out there in case you're not following minutes and all of that closely, which is fine, but they are posted on the bulletin board. They're a month behind because today we'll approve the minutes for our August meeting, and after our meeting I'll go pin them up there. And if I don't, somebody text me. I've got 1,000 things at the beginning of school and 2 small children that I'm just dropping balls everywhere, and I appreciate the grace. But a few other things I just wanted to make sure that people were aware of. Our Constitution is super out of date with the model Constitution of the Synod, so we are hoping to rectify that in this council before we move on. We are hoping to have something to you by November meeting, so that we don't have to do another special meeting, knowing that we've got call and we've got all these things. Also, it's fun to get together, right? But there's a process with that as well. So we have to take what we have, fit it into the model, because it's more than a few little tweaks, because I think it was 11 is the last time we updated. So a tidge out of date. But we do have to then and Nyla is amazing and working on this, and I know Mark's worked with her and a couple other people to try and make sure that we've got it ready. We have to send it to the Synod. They have to approve it, send it back, and then we as a church can approve it. And just knowing that everyone everywhere is busy. We don't know how long that process will be when we send it to the Synod. Will it be, okay, great. So we're hoping to have that by November. If we don't, please don't be disappointed. We're working on it.
Nikki, when is the November meeting?
When do you want to do it?
I would like it on 16th, please.
Well, we're meeting today. We'll look at it. All right, we'll try and look at a date for that. Yeah, it'd be good to have it out there. Anyone else want the 16th? Yeah. All opposed. So. Another thing that just to be aware of is that we're looking at building access and keys and ways. We're at a place where we need to rekey the building, and so we're looking at different ways to do that in our building access policy. We're also looking at adding a keypad to the back, fellowship hall door. So for contractors or for people who need a quick one-time entrance, we can assign a temporary code for things like that. Instead of having to issue keys and get them back, we can issue codes and turn them off. So it's not all done. We have had a request to wait till after Pumpkin Patch, so we're hoping we can honor that. So I don't have a date on that either, but when we do, we'll make sure everyone knows, because I know a lot of us just have keys, and so there'll be a process for getting your key back should you need it, but it will be a new key or maybe a code, whatever is going to work best for you. And we have just a few more minutes, and then the other thing is, just wanted to again just let people know there have been some requests to look into service times. And right now, as a council, we've kind of kicked that back to worship and music to see if there's a need for that. But just so you know, there are people that are thinking we need to look at service and education times. And so if that's something that you feel strongly about, talking to worship and music, call Deb.
Yeah.
Right now, Deb is our council liaison. Who else is on your team?
Aaron's on it.
Okay, then here.
Remember who's all on it. Aaron's on it, of course. We've only had one meeting. We have our next one on Monday night, so I'm not positive of everybody that's truly on it. But Vicki Mudrick from choir, she is on it. Who? Marie's on it. She just wasn't at the last meeting, but I think she is on it.
Is Carl on the committee?
Carl's
as well?
on it too.
Thank you.
Yeah. He doesn't always make it, but he always stays in tune with us, so he is on it. I think there's one or two more, but I truly don't remember. Sorry, I will have to.
And at
Check.
worst, just let us know on the council, and then we can get it to the right people.
Right. But yeah, we are, was brought up on the last meeting, nothing, just ideas. Carl had presented some ideas from what he had heard. So we all looked at it. We had a small discussion on it, but nothing was finalized. And nothing was really drastic. So it's not like all of a sudden you're going to find something totally different. It was whether or not we could shorten up time, space in between, things like that. So maybe the service would be a little bit shorter so that it wasn't so much space in between, trying to work in education in it. So they were all great ideas. And it was easy. Some of us definitely spotted one that we preferred. And so it's just still in that discussion stage.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that we're hearing this and we hear it, but we're trying to make sure that we get we're not voting on it or discussing it as a council just yet, but just so y'all know that. Anything else? We've got about 15 minutes before late service, so either Mike, y'all just visit.
Well, I just real quick, I would like to say thank you to the council for having this discussion today. I think it's just great for everyone to come together and talk about things. These things affect all of us as members here. And I just want to say thank you.
You know, I enjoy sitting here and listening to all the comments, particularly about finances, but we're forgetting one thing. We aren't in control. When we call the pastor, I don't care how much we pay him, the money's going to be there, and if you don't believe me, I guarantee it will be. It's not up to us. You know, if we're so worried about money, we need to close the doors and walk away, because that's not what we are. We aren't here for the money. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? One last check online. Anything from online? Okay.
Thanks, Brian. And I just want to say, thanks, Mark, for your comment, but thank you all for being here, because the tone and tenor of the council is very much focused on us as a whole and working together to build what we want here at Rejoice. And so it's great to see this participation. We are going to be regularly looking for volunteers in all kinds of different things. If you have something that you feel like you've got calling for or want to get involved, please speak up, because this is us, it's all of us, and we're committed to being as transparent and as open as we can possibly be. So just know that that's where we are coming from, and Nikki's doing a great job of our best efforts to do that. So thank you, Nikki.
And along those same lines, just as a reminder, the council meetings are open meetings, so anybody is welcome to attend, bring new business items at any time. They're always going to be on the third Sunday of each month, and so that includes today. After the 11 o'clock service at 12:15, we're going to be meeting, and so anyone is welcome to come. Third Sundays of the month.
And I know that, I think it's Juliana or Megan, one of you, is working with Jocelyn to make sure that those dates are also in the Joyful Noise, so that you don't have to remember, is this the third Sunday? So that if you do just want to come and participate, we've had really long agendas this year. I think Russ was the king of the following agenda, and I'm not that queen. So buckle in, they're long, but we have a good time. So
I'd also add that we're available anytime. So if you have a question, you have a concern, you have a comment, we're here. You don't have to wait till a meeting. You don't have to wait for one of these special events. So feel free just to approach us and let us know what you're thinking and what you're feeling and what you'd like to see as a council do for you as a congregation.
I think that finishes us up. I do want to say thank you. I realized I left a banner up. Thank you guys for making Pastor's Party last weekend so special. I think it meant a lot to him. I hope he's having a wonderful time on his trip. So I think that does it. Okay. Anyone standing up to volunteer for the closing prayer? Okay, I got you. The Lord be with you. Lord, thank you for this community and for this church. We are here to serve you, and by communicating with each other, we're able to do that best. Please use our talents and our gifts in a way that glorifies you. And in your name we pray. Amen.